Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Austin, and it is once again my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. You know what I'm about to say. I am excited again to be here with another amazing professional in the HR arena. And I'm just really excited for all of the folks that have come out in the HR spectrum and the health and wellness spectrum, because we all are now recognizing that there is a need for people to seek services of this type. Is no longer one of those industries that sit in the sideline and only wait for you to get a job. It is literally becoming something new. And so you're going to hear something different today for our guest, who is also in this industry. In 2018, this definitely has been the most predominant Black, African-American, minority, whatever culture you are, that has joined the BMWC from around the world. And so this is definitely the platform to be on if you are in a career or you have a special talent that you want the world to know about. This is the platform to be on. If you missed it this year, make sure you check with us at 2019, coming like at the end of the year, maybe 2019. We're going to have the call of speakers out so that you can get on this platform like everybody you see here today. Just in case you did not know, the purpose of the BMWC podcast is to not only share our industry information, but we are encouraging you to understand the changes in the market. So make sure that you visit all the pages, listen to all of the podcast interviews, because they're there to serve you. And take some notes, go call someone, go to an event, buy a book, because they are here to give this information to you that could easily cost you thousands of dollars. So make sure that you take advantage of this. Before we get into our interview today, we would like to thank our corporate sponsors and partners, who are Cat Serrano LLC, Cheryl Wood Empowers, Concerning Learning, Evangelism Radio, Genesis Preferred Solutions, J Coach International, Nels Tax Help, My Financial Home, Power, STCI, and the Student Teacher, along with our other business partners and sponsors, and everybody who is supporting this event to make it successful this season. So, as promised, we're going to get right into it. We have Tamica Sears, who is a 20-year expert in human resources, working with multiple organizations in a myriad of industries. Her direct and action-oriented approach as a certified integrative coach with the ACC designation allows her to help people become their best selves. She also has a focus on leadership, executive, and career coaching, and she is really good at what she does. She loves what she does, and she loves making a positive impact on organizations. Tamica holds a Bachelor's of Administration degree in Organization Psychology, as well as a Master's of Administration and Leadership. And so she is going to tell us more about her certifications and all of her accolades working with the USA Today Network, and also some of the things that she is doing out there in her teaching career that she's going to share. So, Tamica, I'm tongue-tied. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
I'm going to tell you, when I read these bios, they are so amazing that sometimes I just can't get it all out. But you know what? You are here, and I'm glad you're here. So just tell everybody where you're from. And, how did you even get into human resources? Was it something in your history when you was a kid, or maybe growing up? Give us a little insight.
It's actually how I got into human resources is pretty funny. So when I was 16, myself, I have a twin sister. So she and I needed after school jobs. And our older sister is about 10 years older than us. And she got us jobs working as personnel clerks at her job. And so she would leave for her and her boss would leave 2-3 hour lunches and leave all the work to us. So when your first job is working for your sister, you learn a lot.
Oh, wow. How unique is that?
Yeah. So, and that just kind of started both of us, my sister and I both, actually down this path. And since then, it's been human resources all the time. I have done so many different facets of HR. And so when I talk to people who are looking to get into HR, I'm like, what exactly do you mean by that? Because HR is so vast. I have done benefits administration. I've done compensation. I've done recruiting. I've done generalist work. I've been in leadership roles. I've been payroll and all over the place. So when someone says that they want to do HR, I'm like, what do you want to do? Where the space I ended up in that I absolutely love is during the day, I do business partner work. So I work hand in hand with leaders and essentially, to help them make decisions that have the best impact on the people in the organization. And then at night, I come home and I do leadership development and executive coaching because that's the space that I absolutely love to be in.
Wow. Okay. And so, like I said, what a unique situation to be in with two sisters kind of going into it, one working for the other. And so, talk about some of the experiences along the way in which you had to learn these things, because, like you said, you want to bring a different aspect to information. I keep saying information. It's human resources. I think I got information on my brain, right? So I want, I'm really interested to hear like what experiences that you had along the way, not so much working with your sister, but just learning the human resource aspect and figuring out what part of human resources that really gravitated to your point that you just really love this section.
So I started off in kind of an assistant role, of course, and I was lucky enough to work for people, even when I stopped working for my sister, who I could raise my hand, ask questions, sit in on meetings, learn things, and so I was able to see a lot of different pieces very early on. So when I, kind of graduated from being an assistant, I was working in the parking industry in Massachusetts. Um, and from then, I went on to work for a software company and a value-added reseller of hardware. And I was a generalist there, and I got to learn so many different aspects of HR. They were kind of doing a spinoff, so they were kind of like a startup. Things didn't go well, so then it was like watching them kind of change and shift and work towards being a growing organization, working with those business leaders. So very early on, I think because I raised my hand and I said, I don't know what that is. Can you show me what that means? Or can you talk to me about this or that? I think the more inquisitive you are when you're starting a new role or you're starting in a new industry, the better off you'll be. Because I think people are afraid to ask questions. But no one is going to say, well, that's a stupid question, little girl, go home. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are going to be happy that you did ask the question because then they get to share their knowledge. And people really do like sharing their knowledge.
Okay. So I have a question then. What is the difference between a generalist and the other position that you've held? What are the major differences? Because a lot of people, they go to work, they think, okay, she's in human resources, she's a human resource generalist, but the job is almost like the same. Is it just in title only, or is there specific differences in what they do?
There are major differences. So right now, my title is a business partner in my day job, and that is different in a lot of ways from a generalist. So as a business partner, you work more closely with the leaders of an organization. You help those leaders grow and develop. You help them with their business decisions. If there's like say that there's a reorganization going on, you help them understand the talent that they have in their organization. You help them understand how the changes that they're making will impact the people in the organization, how it may impact the ability to get work done. You help them decide whether or not that org structure makes sense, with their sphere of influence and span of control. And working as a generalist, you typically work more closely with the employees, and you help the employees kind of navigate through that employee life cycle. So you help them, with benefit questions, and you help them with, employment verifications, things like that. And it's definitely a much different role, a generalist role typically than a business partner role. And then you have the whole other section of HR, like organizational development and psychology, and they work with business leaders to try to make sure that the organization is being structured in a way that the culture can make sense, the org structures make sense, and people are doing things and moving and growing in the right direction to meet the company objectives.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure people who are listening to those differences, is there a role out there that has like a, compilation of all three of those pieces for someone who wants to do that type of work? Or do they normally keep it separate like that?
That is an excellent question. And yes, you can be in a role where you get to do every aspect of HR. And that's why I feel like I was very, very lucky as I was kind of growing up in in my career. I worked for some smaller organizations, and in those smaller organizations, you typically have like a 1, 2, or maybe 3-person HR department, and you get to do everything. I mean, I was able to do the board meetings and prepare, the 401k information that like went out to the world, and I got to do so much because I was in a smaller organization. And I think people kind of sometimes look at the small organizations, they don't really want to do that. But especially if you are starting out, it's an awesome way to learn, and it's an awesome way to get to see every single aspect of HR.
Nice, nice. Okay. So that was really, really excellent. And I thank you for sharing that information. One of the questions I want to ask you now is about the certification for integrative coach. So exactly what is a integrative coach, and how is that different from any other type of leadership training or life coach, or, things of that nature that is similar to that specific certification?
So, as an integrative coach, we look at the person's kind of whole being. So, if you are an executive coach, but you are looking at it from an integrative perspective, then you understand that the things that that person does at work may also impact them at home. So, you try to work on things that are not just, at work they're going through issues or they're trying to build their team, but you understand that sometimes they may be taking some of those. That kind of stress from work home, and so you work on the whole person, because truly you are a human being and you are a person, and if we don't work on you holistically, then we're really kind of only doing half the job.
Okay. Is that a really difficult certification to get? Do you have to have prerequisites or anything like that to even qualify to take a test to get that type of certification?
So it's funny that you should ask that. So the coaching program that I did, there aren't any prerequisites, but it was, I thought because I did HR, I was like, oh, I coach people all the time. Like I thought I was like, big and bad, and it was going to be no problem. Coaching and giving feedback are completely different animals. So I walked into my training completely unprepared. And because I had done HR for so long, and it really been a long time since I was like stressed out, like having to actually learn something and like use my brain. And going into that program, I learned a lot. There was so much I didn't know about coaching. And that program prepared me to sit for the examination to get my ACC accreditation through the International Coach Federation. And that's one of the things I really loved about that program, because I did feel fully prepared to then take that test.
Nice. Okay. All right. Fabulous. Because I want people to really hear the importance of taking certifications for what you do. People get that confused with master's degrees, because master's degrees give you the theory and certifications validate your actual skills and expertise in what you do. And so you have a number of certifications. You have a PHR, a SHIM, PC, and a DISC. Not sure
Right.
what that stands for, but just you have so many certifications to really validate what you do. And so as a human resources professional, how important is that in terms of your ability to move around in the industry?
So I think it's extremely important. And I do have a lot of early career people say to me, should I get my master's degree or should I get my PHR or SPHR? Well, to me, that's a no-brainer. Your master's degree is going to cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Your PHR or SPHR will cost you hundreds. So when you think about, just your return on investment, get that certification first and see what that does for you before you invest in a master's degree. I did both just because I get bored very easily and I love learning. So I continue to go to school, and that's why I did coaching. And my DISC certification is one that allows me to help people learn more about themselves. It is a personality profiling, and it helps leaders learn how to best communicate with their teams and how teams can communicate with each other. And there's a piece of it that helps you with productive conflict. So how to actually have conflict, because conflict can be good, but to make sure that conflict is productive. So with each certification that I've gained, I have learned so much, and it is well worth people to get that certification. I think before they do that master's degree, I think it will prepare them for the study and the learning, number one. And number two, you may find that you actually don't need to get that master's degree to get where you want to be in your career.
Yeah, there's numbers of jobs out there that doesn't require you to have a master's degree, but will mandatorily require you to have that certification. It is all over everywhere. And I totally agree with what you're saying is that see what it does for you. Get the certification and really master your craft before you go out there and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on a degree that you may or may not need. You may find that you will end up in the perfect career situation and you don't even need this degree at all. I think that degree choices should really be taken when it's really matched to what the industry calls for. And you may have jobs out there that don't even have certifications, but you need a master's degree. So definitely for sure, I agree totally with that. So according to your bio, you are a business partner for Gannett, USA Today Network. How was your experience working for that organization? And do you find that in the space that you're in, that there are a lot of minority people who are in your industry that is doing similar work that you're doing?
It's funny that you should ask that because I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and there's not a whole lot of people of color outside of people typically of Mexican descent. So going to work for Gannett USA Today was actually very refreshing because we have offices everywhere. There's like 110 sites. And so on my HR team, I have tons of people of color, tons of Black people to work with. And so it's very interesting to me to now be able to work with Black people on an everyday basis because honestly, once I moved from Massachusetts, that was a stretch. Like that wasn't something that I was used to. So it was very refreshing to me. And they do have a focus on diversity. And working for USA Today has actually helped shape my coaching business because my coaching business now focuses on helping leaders understand that having diversity can actually really help your teams and help you meet your business objectives and goals and work with people on kind of creating a new normal for corporate America. And a lot of that I got, in the time being at USA Today, because I think that they do focus on listening to their employees and doing the right things and having their employees learn and grow and develop. And that is something that I think is fairly unique in corporate America today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always ask this question because I want people who are listening to really understand the importance of certain roles. And, you're like probably the fifth person to have like this very, very unique thing that you're doing between coaching and human resources and learning human behavior and things of that nature. And so I want to encourage those who are listening to your podcast to really take a close look at this type of industry and how they can interweave their talent into this and make it better, and a lot of things that come out of human resources that I hear all the time, which I always try to address to get different perspectives is, it's just for the organization. They're not there to help protect the employee. And so by breaking down in your explanation of a generalist being more for the people, what is your thoughts on human resources as a whole to be more for the employees as opposed for the organization?
So I think that if a human resources person is not an employee advocate, they need to get out of the game. You're doing the wrong job then. The first and foremost role of any human resources professional is to be an employee advocate. And I think that companies are starting to learn that if you do right by your employees are going to do right by you. There are not companies that are going to continue to be successful if they are not putting their employees first. Even as a human resources business partner, when I work with leaders to help them grow their teams and help their teams develop and help them get the talent up to where it needs to be. It is certainly not a matter of being that compliance cop. Like compliance cop HR is done. It's gone. That no longer should exist. And if leaders want to do something stupid, like I would be the first one to tell them as an HR person, I'm like, I am so not going to let you do that. You have to be strong enough as an HR professional to not let leaders sabotage themselves by doing things that are not good for the company or good for the employees.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. So, looking at it from a career perspective, from somebody who is coming in, and from an HR perspective, hiring someone, what is some of the things that stands out the most in terms of when you get applications? Because a lot of times they put their applications in and they don't understand what are they looking for. We know that it's for the job criteria. We know that. But what is some pieces of advice that you can give to those who have their resumes out there to make it better and make it more conducive for them and easier for you to choose them for a position?
What I really like to look for is people that that have proven that they are able to work on cross-functional teams, people that have proven that they pay attention to the company as a whole, and they honestly know who their competitors are. They know what their company's competitive advantage is. They can speak to any of the threats that might be facing the industry that they're currently working in. People who are using data and doing HR data analytics, people who can, in their resume, kind of spell out the story of what they have done in their past and what they're able to bring to the organization. So someone who can say that they looked at an employee engagement survey and put together an action plan, worked through that action plan, and was able to increase the employee engagement by 3%. So stories like that, actually the things that you were able to do and your gains, having that in a resume is extremely important.
Yes, absolutely. And you said my key phrase, tell a story with your resume. Let the person or the reader know, how did you get to this point in your life and how did you contribute to the organizations as you were moving through your career? It's very important. And so I asked that question because I want people to understand that when they put their resume out there and you have yourself a human resource specialist or recruiter, it's not just, you're meeting this person and they're giving you benefits paper, but they're also looking at how you fit into their space, into their environment, and how you will meld, going back to your point about human behavior and how everybody can work together. And so I want them to get that 360-degree view of how does that really work when we're out there searching for jobs and how we should present ourselves if this is what we're trying to do. And I really liked all of the points that you made there. So are you doing any other activities such as workshops and webinars in which people can come out and get all of this great information about all the three things that you do for human resources?
So actually, I have a on my coaching side, I have a membership site that has a bunch of learning information on being a leader. So a lot of leadership development information and a lot of information actually on being an entrepreneur and how to kind of set up your business and getting a business running. And in addition to that, I have a full 6-month leadership development program that will be opening in May. And it's going to be application only. I'm going to accept very few people into the program, and it needs to be people who understand that corporate America has to change and they want to make that change. They want to have a corporate America that is inclusive and diverse and have a new normal. And so that will be an excellent opportunity for people to join in and learn and grow and develop.
Just the fact that you're actually trying to change the mindset of leaders is really profound. And I want to encourage you to keep doing that information. So share everybody your contact information to your website so that they can get in touch with you on all of these different things that you're doing. And also, if they want to participate and be a serious leader to get their business off the grounds, that's what we really need. That's what we need for somebody like yourself to just say, hey, we need to make these changes to make corporate better.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I think people think of entrepreneurship and they're like, oh, it's just going to be a small home based business. You may start off that way, but you could be the next Google. My advice to everyone, don't limit yourself. Dream big and dream hard.
Hmm. And give some more advice. I want to hear two or three more. Go ahead, because I was going to ask you that, but you already went there. But I would just want, I mean, dream big and dream hard. But what other pieces of advice can you offer for someone who wants to do human resources or leadership coaching that is a little bit different from what everybody else says about knowing yourself? I mean, what are the real takeaways and challenges that they have to overcome if they want to be in this space?
I think that as a person of color in this space, I think it's more difficult because you have to I think sometimes you have to find your way there differently. So I would advise that you reach out to other people of color who are in that space to find out their journey and their travel. Um, because I do know that there are a lot of people in a lot of corporations that don't necessarily um, take the opinion and the value from people of color that they should. Unfortunately, I think that is still a problem. So you do need to find your way into the organizations that will value you. I try to find people who want to make their own corporations that will then value people and have those explode and grow, and we can push the other folks out, right? Um,
Exactly. Push them out. That's right. We're being to, but I'm just, and you're so right, because now is not the time for us to be, pussyfooting around it, because as people of color, we have a lot of folks that's doing tremendous things. But as you said, you want people who are serious, just no different than when I have my networking events. I want people who are serious. If you're not serious to become an entrepreneur, to make sure that you are great being a leader, there's no way in the world that you can help your team or whoever you hire to represent you to be a great leader, because leaderships, we could lead all day, but if you're not willing to follow also and learn what it takes to follow a leader and be a leader, it's going to be very hard. And so we definitely have to step up our game, and we have to open up ourselves to new information, right? So click that button down below, all right, to be give your information, because we don't even want them to get off this podcast without your website information or your phone number.
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, the way to start, go to searscoaching.com and you can get all my info there. And like I said, I'm looking for, if you're already in that space of being a leader in corporate America and you're saying to yourself, something seems wrong. Yes, something is wrong. And it's up to us to make that change. We need to be able to push forward, people of color and their allies. We need to be able to help people learn and develop and understand that bias exists and how to get out of that bias and put on the proper lens so that they can see people for people and understand what people bring to the table.
Absolutely, because one of the biggest issues, and I'll just add to that list, is one of the biggest issues is pretty much like she said earlier, and I'm going to add to it, is that we have to show the value in our business, whether we are a small business, medium business, large business, because if we're not showing the value of our business by not investing in our business through education, investing with money, investing with time, there's no way in the world that we're going to go out there and grow. And you have to be a serious entrepreneur if that's what you're really seeking to do. And clients will see the value just by investing in your business, all of the three that I just said. So thank you, Tamica, because you getting me started on this thing now. We're about to go there. We're about to go there, because I'm telling you, it is that serious, guys. It is really that serious, because we can be in business one minute and we can be out of business the next minute if we do not invest. And so one of those investments is looking down at Tamica's link, clicking on her website, right? And then getting with her about what you need to do as a leader in corporate America. We need more people of color in corporate America, not just as owner of speakers and authors. We need people who are really out there and actually doing things that is an example to our future.
Yes.
And see, I told you she got me started. So, so
We
thank
have
you.
to grow our mentor pool. Like we
Yes,
need people that people can look up to.
and you know what? That is so true because mentors, I remember 20 years ago, we had tons of mentors. Now you barely have any. Being a life coach is one thing, but being a mentor is priceless.
Yes.
So you're absolutely right. And thank you so much. I'm telling you, I got to get you off this podcast. You're going to get me started. But thank you so very much for being on here and sharing your information and just being a role model and a mentor to the leaders and the employees too, to show them that HR is more than just here's your benefits paper. You're really showing them that you are for the people, and that is something that is so much appreciated and need to be well known out here today. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me. I've had a lot of fun with you.
Awesome.